Greetings and welcome, especially all my beloved Vibra Angels and frequenciers out there in the in the sonic universe that we live in, this vibrational universe, with all this chaos and pandemics and crazy stuff going around. I hope that you're staying in your heart in sound, light, and love, and making the best of it until this passes, because this too shall pass. Anyway, my name is Wayne Perry, and I'm a certified sound therapist for the last 28 years. Since 1992, I opened up the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles, the first sound therapy center of its kind in California. And I'm here, if you're not familiar with my work, I've been traveling the world for the last 28 years, every major city in the United States, teaching people, particularly people that understand subtle energy medicine, like Reiki masters and energy workers and healers, and people that understand what Edgar Cayce said in 1952, that sound will be the medicine of the future, and the future is now. And we've been using this. I'm like a walking testament to sound healing and sound therapy. I've healed myself of hepatitis C, liver disease, lung disease, kidney disease. I was on dialysis for a year. I was on oxygen for 2 years. I've healed my lungs, kidneys, liver, and kidney stones, all sorts of things over the years. And I'm tremendously grateful for this blessing to be doing this work and to be of service to others in the holistic health community, because sound therapy is not only the most effective holistic modality I know of, but it's probably the least expensive as well. All you need is a diagnostic brain voice sound analysis that can be done now by phone. The first 15 years of my practice, I only did it live because I didn't trust the technology. But now, since then, I found a really nice Panasonic phone and microphone that works perfectly well to be able to do a brain voice sound analysis over the telephone. So I've been quite busy during this pandemic doing sound analysis for people in Europe and Asia and South America, Canada, and all over the United States. So it's got my schedule kind of discombobulated, because in parts of Asia, India, as well as Australia and New Zealand, they're about 14 or 15 hours ahead of us. So I'm doing analysis sometimes at 4 or 5 in the morning for those people. And then people in Europe are about 9 and 10 hours ahead of us. And so I'm doing those around midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. So it's kind of crazy, but I'm doing this little video to try to invite you tomorrow, Saturday, April 18th, tomorrow, Saturday at 7 p.m. here, 2020. I'll be doing the first in a webinar series. I've converted my weekend intensive sound therapy training workshop into 10 webinars and 10 different topics, which I could run over quickly for you if you like. But these 3-hour webinars I've discounted. Normally my short workshops, I do a weekend intensive that's about $400, and it's long hours from 10 to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and it's not possible to do those now during the pandemic. So I worked them out into 8 webinars originally, and then there was material I edited out that is still really good material, but in the interest of time, I took it out of that weekend workshop. But doing the webinars, I added it back in, because this is very, very important information, and I'll go over the titles in a few minutes. But it's basically called Sound Medicine, which is the title of my book, Sound Medicine, which I have handy here. I can show it to you on the screen if you're not familiar with it. This is Sound Medicine, and I'm the author of Sound Medicine. It was published a few years back from New Page Books, and now I bought my publishing out from them and Now I own the publishing, but you can get it on my website, wayneperry.com. So my website is just my name, wayneperry.com. And you can go to the products page and get the book. It's the only book on sound healing that teaches you how to be a sound healer. And in fact, the full title of the book is Sound Medicine, The Complete Guide to Healing with Sound and the Human Voice. Because my focus and expertise is on the ultimate healing instrument. And it's sitting right under your nose. That's right, the human voice. That was the title of my first instructional CD. It's now available as a download on my website. The Secrets to Vocal Overtoning I recorded back about 20 years ago, before people knew all these secrets to sound and sound therapy. And so it's quite popular, and you can, most people don't buy the CD anymore, but you can download it off the products page at wayneperry.com. But right now I want to just give you the titles of the 10 workshops, because the download will be, that information will be included in these 10 webinars, and you can just explore any webinar that you like the title of and explore it, one or two if you like. And they're discounted from $75, which is normally what I charge for a 3-hour workshop. In fact, sometimes it's $85 or $95 depending on the location. But here in Los Angeles, I charge $75 for a 3-hour workshop. I'm doing this 3-hour webinar for only $33. So that's a 56% discount, over 50% discount. So, you know, if you're smart or knowledgeable about sound healing, sound therapy, you want to jump on it. You can register now at Zoom, and the link is in the little description. I included the link in my little description to this particular video. And if it's not there, if you can't see it or find it for some strange reason, you can get it on my website, wayneperry.com. Again, just my name. Go to the events page on wayneperry.com, events, E-V-E-N-T-S. You'll see a little heading at the top of the different selections. And it says a wealth of information there. You can watch free videos. There's about 15 free to view videos on the video page. There's a products page, services page, a testimonial page with many, many testimonials that people have done my work over the last 28 years since I set up the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles. There's been, you know, many testimonials from people that have gotten well and strengthened their immune systems. And I've got anybody from minor aches and pains to cancer patients that have gotten remission. So there isn't anything that it doesn't work with. So before you start asking, well, does it help with aches and pains? Does it help with arthritis? Does it help with this? Does it help with that? You know, I don't know of anything it doesn't help with, because it goes right into the brain, and which is the home office, and your body is the healing mechanism, but it needs to be in a sound environment for your body to work as the healing entity that it is. And so that's what I'm teaching in these webinars, is how you can access this information. So I'll share the titles for you in a minute, but look at the link. It's on the events page at wayneperry.com. It's all over Facebook and a lot of my groups and posts, and my Wayne Perry page and the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles page. So it's easy to find that Zoom link. The easiest way is probably to look at the description of this particular video, and the link is in there, and also on the events page of my website, wayneperry.com. So that'll give you all the information, the titles and descriptions of the 10 webinars. They're 3 hours long. Like I said, they're only $33 each. And if you're interested in sound healing, if you've had some experience and understand the power in real sound therapy, not these phony sound baths that are being done. I mean, they're nice people doing the sound baths, but they're not sound therapists, and they don't understand. If you get the wrong sound by some instrument or machine or instrument other than the human voice, which is the ultimate healing instrument, if you get any sound from any other instrument other than the voice that you have an excess of in your brainwave pattern, it can exacerbate any particular physical or emotional condition you might have. And you don't want to be struggling and exacerbating these conditions. So I highly recommend contacting me at the phone number or email on my website. A lot of people hide it. I try to remain very accessible, at least for the moment. Eventually, I may have to take it off my website. Like I did, my address is not on there because I get too many people coming over without an appointment. But my phone number and email is the bottom of every page of the website. Contact me if you have any questions about this material, sound therapy, vibrational healing, vocal harmonics, overtoning, all the various things. I would recommend forgetting the external instruments, the didgeridoos, the bowls, crystal bowls, tuning forks, gongs, all these external instruments. I have them. I mean, I use them occasionally, but they don't hold a candle to the human voice. The harmonics and overtones in the human voice are really the ultimate healing instrument. It's the only sound, I should say, the only living instrument that's connected to the spirit and soul within is our human voice. Nobody can take that away from us. And we have our own voice, and it's through the voice and our brains that we can access this magical energy within the body and activate the body's self-healing mechanisms and healing abilities that are innate in every one of us. If you know how to activate it and use it properly. And that's what these webinars will teach you. So if you sign up for all 10 webinars at $33 each, instead of $330, you'll get one webinar free. So it only costs you $297 for all 10 webinars, which is a super buy. I mean, my weekend intensive, which is a lot of hours, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, over the weekend, is about $400. This you can do from the comfort of your own home and not lose a whole weekend in just 3-hour intervals, 3-hour segments every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Coast time. So wherever you are, just convert the time zone to your time zone. If you're east, then it'd be later, 2 or 3 hours later, perhaps. Or if you're in Europe and Asia, it's a whole other time zone. But anyway, it's 7 p.m. every Saturday on Zoom. So here's the titles of them if you're interested. These are very, very powerful webinars, and they're very experiential, hands-on webinar workshops where you'll learn the principles and exercises, and we'll do the exercises together so that you can understand them, do them, process them. So the titles, webinar 1, which is tomorrow on the 18th at 7 p.m., is the 9 core key principles to sound healing. So I go all over the principles with you so that you can understand and associated exercises once you learn the 9 principles. And we'll be going over that whole process and the methodology of sound healing in that first webinar tomorrow. That's why I put that first, the 9 core keys. Now, the second webinar will be 7 days later on April 25th. Hopefully I said April and not August before. April 18th, tomorrow, is the first webinar. April 25th is the second webinar at 7 p.m. Saturday the 25th. And that one is called Detoxing the Body-Mind. And so it also is detoxing the subconscious mind, which creates a lot of problems for us, especially when we're young. The first 6 or 7 years of life, we're like little sponges, and we take on the toxicity of our parents, our siblings, neighbors, school, friends, teachers, until we're about 6 or 7 years old, and then we start to armor ourselves. There's a self-protection device in the subconscious mind where we kind of are protected. But it doesn't erase everything that went on in the initial 6 or 7 years of life. So in my weekend intensive workshops physically, we start with that exercise. After a sonic meditation, that's the first exercise we do because it's a very simple exercise, but it needs to be done to clear out and release blocked energy in the brainwave pattern so that you can build on a clean slate, so to speak. You want to build your healing. This is why a lot of healings don't work, because you've got this backup of energy from childhood that's stored in your brain, and it's kind of like negative programming that influences what we experience in the present, and it makes it more difficult for us to have successful healing processes and exercises. So that's why the second webinar is going to cover detoxing the body and the subconscious mind. Very simple to do, very unique and fun webinar. So then moving to the third webinar, a week after that, which I believe would be May 2nd, is the ultimate healing instrument, the human voice. As I've mentioned, my work focuses on the ultimate healing instrument, the human voice. So I'm going to break down all the components. You don't have to be a singer, but this is of great benefit if you're a speaker, a teacher, a toner, a singer. Those are just side benefits. But the main thing is teaches you is how to use the voice as a healing instrument, the ultimate healing instrument. And guess what? It's sitting right under your nose. Why waste it? Why not use it? So this 3-hour webinar is going to cover all the tips for using the voice, the components associated with. There's 4 components of the voice that I'll teach you how to use. There's 5 elements that are connected to the voice, and all these things we're going to cover in that webinar 3 on May 2nd. Then moving to May 9th, the following week, webinar number 4 is on chakra chanting and toning. If you're familiar with the chakra energy vortexes within the body, which is part of Ayurvedic medicine in the East, it's very powerful. And so we're going to tone and clear and strengthen, balance and strengthen those chakra energy centers in the body with sound and vocal toning. And so, it's a combination of chanting and toning. And then once you learn the principles, a very important breathing exercise for grounding. And once we get through the breathing exercise and the different chakras, the locations, and the colors and the musical notes associated with them aren't that important because it can be different for different people. But it's not different if you use the correct sounds, the correct vowel sounds. Vowel sounds open the voice in the best fashion to release the harmonics and overtones that are within the vowels, within the voice, within the brain. And so that's how we access the combination of the brain and the voice to identify your unique personal frequency pattern, which we fully do in a diagnostic sound analysis, which you would need to schedule by phone or email on my website, wayneperry.com. That's the other thing that's really important to do. But if you do these webinars and then you do a personal, private diagnostic sound analysis to identify your personal frequency pattern, that's all you need to do. You've got all the tools in a very inexpensive format. It costs, way, less than a couple $100. It's like to do the diagnostic sound analysis, and then some downloads of any harmonics that you might need for the brainwave entrainment, which is very simple. It's just listing. It's like food. The sound that comes in is important, and the sound that goes out is important. Just like food. You need the healthiest food in the world, but if you don't eliminate it, guess what? You're going to die. And you can have the best digestion and elimination in the world, but if you don't eat, you're going to die. So it's very important what goes into your body and what goes out of your body in food-wise. And it's the same thing with sound. A lot of people don't realize that the sound in is important and the sound out. You make the sound out with your voice, with toning. It's not just for speaking, chanting, and singing. It's also a healing instrument if you learn how to use it properly. And that's what I'm going to be teaching in these webinars. So again, go to my page, wayneperry.com, peruse the titles and descriptions of these 10 webinars. You can do 1 or 2 for only $33 each. This is the lowest I've ever charged for a workshop. And it's a 56% discount, more than 50% off, to do 1 or 2 individual ones. If you're serious or you know something about sound healing or toning or whatever, you want to sign up for all 10, you'll get the 10th one free, and you'll get a certificate in sound healing. Because here at the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles that I founded in 1992, we train people in sound healing. And this is the first time I've done a certificate training online. So if people are smart enough to respond to this and sign up for it, the first one starts tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Jump on the train to wellness, strengthen your immune system, learn preventative techniques for any physical or emotional health condition. You'll learn from with this work. And you might want to pick up my book, Sound Medicine, which was published 2 years ago in China. and the Chinese people are using this now. I've been going to China and Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan the last several years, and they're very open-hearted, open-minded people. They're just suffering under a severe oppressive communist government. But people are the same everywhere, and it's just more difficult than some of these third world countries where they're being, we think we have it tough here in the United States. I don't know if you visited some third world countries, but I've been to some of them, and you see young teenagers, soldiers with machine guns in their hands, and it makes you wonder if there's some kind of fight or riot, how mature are they to not use those machine guns? I mean, these are like teenage soldiers, maybe 17, 18 years old with machine guns. We don't have anything like that in the United States, so we should really appreciate the blessings that we have here. Even though we're under a harsh pandemic right now, keep your mind and your emotions disciplined, stay in your heart, and always be processing love. Don't let your mind get into fear. It'll just lower your immune system. Stay positive, and this too shall pass. Okay, so back to the webinar, so I can take leave of your senses here. And so we left off at number 3, the ultimate healing instrument, human voice. No, we left off at number 4, chakra chanting and toning. I think May 2nd would be number 3, the ultimate healing instrument. Number 4 would be, I think, May 9th, chakra chanting and toning, energizing the body, strengthening the immune system and the chakras. I'm going to forget about the dates because I don't want to confuse you by saying the wrong date. But these are every Saturday starting tomorrow, April 18th, till Saturday, June 20th. The last or 10th webinar workshop will be on Saturday, June 20th. So keep that in mind or take notes if you want. Okay, the 5th workshop, whenever I left off, the 5th webinar workshop on that Saturday from 7 p.m. Pacific Coast time will be the secrets to vocal harmonics and overtoning. This is my most popular exercise in my weekend intensive workshop, and we spend the whole morning until lunchtime working on these 16 exercises. And so I'm going to cram them into this 3-hour workshop. So including the beginning with the overtone spiral, which is a helpful way for people that don't have any music experience or don't aren't familiar with the overtone series, which is a part of music theory and training. You don't have to have any music training. This isn't music therapy. It's sound therapy, which is much more comprehensive and literally primal. So, and so we're not dealing with music, but we have to call these frequencies something. And sometimes we use the musical note system to identify the frequencies rather than calling them A, B, C, X, Y, Z, or Carol, George, and Barbara. We can use the pre-existing musical note system, not for music, but just to identify the frequencies and the number of seconds per cycle that they vibrate at, because how frequent something vibrates tells us its frequency. Some people don't even realize that the word frequency is simply talking about how frequent a sound is vibrating. How many vibrations or pulsations per second are vibrating? Is it 500, 5,000, 50,000? We hear from like 14 or 15 hertz or cycles per second up to 20,000 hertz or cycles per second. So that's a significantly wide bandwidth for hearing, but most sounds are ultrasonic above the hearing bandwidth or subsonic below the hearing bandwidth. So we live in this vibrational universe, and it behooves us to learn a little bit about the new physics principles. You don't have to be a scientist or a doctor to understand some simple basic physics, that everything is energy. And you can call it energy, vibration, sound, frequency, pulsation, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's just different facets of the same diamond. And that diamond in this case is sound, frequency, vibration. And these webinars are under the banner of Sound Medicine, which is the title of my book, Sound Medicine. You can pick up for only $21.99 on my website, wayneperry.com, if you're really interested in learning, the processes and the methodology of sound therapy. Not to mention 48 exercises are in the book. I don't know of any book on the market that actually teaches you sound healing and has 48 exercises in it. So check it out, if you have any interest in sound healing. So where did we leave off? The secrets to vocal harmonics and overtoning. That was the 5th webinar. Like I said, that's the most popular exercise from my intensive workshop. So I know it's going to be a popular webinar. Number 6 is pain release and the sound healing sanctuary. I've covered 2 significant topics and exercises. We're going to do both physical and emotional pain release process, and it works best in something that I've created that I'm going to teach you how to create within your consciousness, within your brain, within your body. It's called the Sound Healing Sanctuary. And I'm going to walk you through the process. It's a meditative process we're going to do with our eyes closed, that breathing deeply and diaphragmatically with our eyes closed, and we're going to do this simple meditation process that I'm going to guide you through, and guide you through every step of it. So you don't need to see anything. You don't have to have your eyes open. The first part, it'll be eyes open. I'll be doing the pain release exercise for you and explaining the principles behind it. But once we get through that first half of the webinar workshop with the pain release, then we're going to complete the second half with the Sound Healing Sanctuary, which is, a fairly long exercise, but very productive, because you can do your pain release inside the healing sanctuary that you create in consciousness, within your mind, within your heart, as you go within, through the body, through the chakras, to the third eye center. In Sanskrit, it's called Tisratil. It's referred to as the 10th door, because we have, the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and the 2 lower apertures. Those are 9 vehicles, 9 passageways that goes down and out into the world through sensation. But only the 10th door, as it's called, at the third eye in the pineal gland, is the way in, where the energy goes inward and upwards to the astral, causal, and spiritual regions of consciousness. So, I'm very much into the metaphysics of sound as well. So if anybody's interested in the metaphysics of sound, contact me at wayneperry.com, and I can help you if you email me or phone me there. So because I love exploring, the metaphysical dimensions of sound healing. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it. Not only am I a walking testament to the power of sound healing, with so many physical and emotional things I've healed with myself over the 28 years that I've been doing this work, but it's also a great tool that anybody can learn. And if you just apply yourself and recognize how valid and how important this work is. So in any event, that last workshop I mentioned, the pain release, the first half, and the second half, the Sound Healing Sanctuary, is going to take you deep within yourself. So you'll have a solitary place to go within yourself to really concentrate and focus on your healing and your pain release and any other healing that you learn from these other webinars. Okay, so that's the 6th webinar. I don't even know if we're still in May, I guess. You'll have to check the dates out. It's every Saturday at 7 p.m. And then the 7th one is group toning. And it will show you group toning exercises, which are a bit different from individual toning exercises that you can do for your own healing. You can learn how some of these very deep and effective exercises can be shared with others, family members, friends, and especially if you have kids. Kids love it. I have a daughter I've shared this stuff with, and other families and kids that have participated in some of my presentations and workshops love it. I mean, if the kids are too little, they wouldn't understand it, and they'd be running around and being distracting sometimes. But usually, depending on the maturity of the child, anywhere from 7, 8, 9 years old up through the teens, really understand it and can participate with the vocal toning and sharing of sounds. And there's some great fun exercises that I teach in this group toning exercise that used to be a part of past workshops that I had to edit it out in recent years because there was just too much material in a weekend workshop. You can only fit so much in the time frame. But now that I'm doing in 10 extended webinars, I put back some really important stuff that I had to delete that I didn't really want to, but now it's back in. And if you take all 10 webinars, you'll you'll get a certificate in sound healing as a sound healer. And so it starts tomorrow. Don't miss the train. The sound train. It used to be Soul Train on TV. This is the sound train. Okay, so that's, I'm also going to teach you how to create a toning group that you can create with your friends and family. There's different steps to doing that efficiently. It'll save you a lot of time in doing it appropriately. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 8 is creating sound relationships. I've taught this workshop at a number of conferences, and sound relationships. Relationships are based in sound, and we interact with each other. And it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family relationship, a business relationship. You know, all are subject to sound principles. And one of the reasons that some of these relationships don't work so well is because people don't have the knowledge that sound healing offers to heal yourself and be a better communicator and a better responder in relationships, like personal, business, whatever they might be. Now, if you're in an established relationship with a partner in a marriage or a long time committed relationship, then it's going to address how to enhance these present relationships, how to enhance and sustain these relationships with some really good tips. And if you're not in a relationship and maybe desire a relationship and want a relationship, there's going to be a chant called the Perfect Partner Relationship Chant that you'll get a lot of fun and benefit from. So it's going to address all people, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. We're going to have exercises and principles that address everybody's needs in relationships. So, but starting with the relationship with yourself, if you start improving and working on creating the optimal relationship with yourself, then you'll go that much further in creating non-codependent relationships with others that are interdependent. That's what we want. We don't want to be so independent that we're not open to relationship, and we don't want to be codependent in a relationship. But the trick is to be interdependent, to know when to be independent and fend for yourself, and when you can lean on people that you love and who love you. So we're going to address all of this in our sound relationships workshop webinar. Okay, that's number 8. Number 9, we're getting close to the end. Number 9 is Tantra toning, sacred sounding, and sonic meditation. This is a big, again, it's like 3 topics here and this one webinar. Tantra toning, there's going to be a Tantra toning exercise, one in particular called the Gotcha Chakra chant. There's another one called the Tantra mantra. And these are like chants or tonings that will raise your energy. A lot of people associate Tantra with sexuality, but really when you start to get deeply educated in Tantra, you realize only 10% of Tantra is sexual. You know, it was popularized maybe by Sting some years ago in his music and other people, and everybody jumped on the bandwagon and just thinks it has to do with sex. But, you know, and some of it does, but, you know, only 10% of it. So we're going to cover a little bit of that, but, you know, this isn't going to be a sexual webinar. It's going to be a tantric webinar, and I'm going to teach you some exercises and principles that you can use to improving your tantric relationship with yourself, your tantric toning, and the difference between just regular sound and sacred sound. And then there's going to be some sonic meditations. Now, every one of these 10 webinars will have at least one sonic meditation in them. Most of them at the beginning of the webinar. The one on overtoning, vocal harmonics and overtoning, I do that one sonic meditation at the end, because we're going to use the harmonics in that particular meditation after we've learned them in that webinar. So that's the only webinar that'll have the sonic meditation at the end, the vocal overtoning and harmonics webinar. All the other ones will have them in the beginning. And then this webinar, the 10th one, or the 9th one rather, we might have one at the beginning if the time permits, or I should say we might have one at the ending if time permits, but we will definitely have one at the beginning, and we'll probably have some others in the middle or at the end. because there's a number of different sonic meditations that we do. They're tonings and healing energy that's a little easier to focus on with the eyes closed as we turn our attention within and activate that tantric energy of lifting energy. Tantra is just lifting, raising energy up, our energy within, and lifting it up to a higher consciousness. That's really what Tantra primarily represents, among other things. But in any event, that's what that workshop is going to focus on, is various sonic meditations and Tantra toning. Okay, so that's number 9. That brings us to number 10, which I know is June 20th, because we start tomorrow at April 18th and we end at on June 20th. The 10th webinar workshop is entitled Diagnostic and Therapeutic Toning, okay, and Energy Dowsing. So some of you may be familiar with dowsing, others of you may not. But dowsing is a process, it's an ancient process. There's some seniors that know dowsing, and it was held secret by the Reagans, but Ronald and Nancy Reagan, hired dowsers to look for oil, and in the United States, paid over $100,000. I know some of these senior dowsing people that have been around for years and are expert dowsers, and you can find water, gold, oil, a lot of things with dowsing, and they use dowsing rods, or some people use pendulums. I've never resonated much with pendulums, maybe because of my energy. They either don't move at all or they spin around like crazy. But L rods are used, that you hold these L rods and you can douse people and measure people's energy fields. So we're going to do it both ways. We're not only going to do L rods. If you have L rods, you can use them in this webinar. If you don't, I have them for sale. They're only $9, and they come with instructions, 2 pages of instructions on how to use them, only $9. You can get them anytime before the June 20th date. And we're going to use them in the first part of the webinar, as I explained dowsing, how to get the most use out of it. And then on the last part of the webinar workshop, I'm going to show you a very advanced toning technique of vocal dowsing. That's something that took me a while to learn and to master. And it may take you a while to learn and master it, but I'll at least show you the basics of it. And so this last webinar will include dowsing with the L rods and dowsing with your voice, with the ultimate healing instrument, the human voice. And you can measure energy fields with dowsing L rods. And once you get some practice and get familiar with the dowsing process, which is ancient, then you can move into dowsing with the voice, what I call vocal dowsing, which is a lot of fun and very interesting. So that's the 10 webinars that I wanted to share with you. Again, it went a little over the 30 minutes that I was trying to keep it to, but I wanted to share some important information with you. And again, my book, Sound Medicine, is available on my website, wayneperry.com, as well as downloads of a lot of my instructional material. I have sound healing music downloads. There's 4 sound healing music CDs that you can get in individual downloads. There's 4 sound healing instructional recordings that have exercises you can learn. Those are available in CDs or downloads, the 4 of those. And then there's also sound therapy tones that aren't music or instructions. That's for advanced people that have done some of these webinars or have done a sound analysis with me. And then you can use these downloads to do brainwave entrainment. And one of the workshops, webinars, will be about brainwave entrainment. We'll be exploring all that. So all of this information is included in these 10 webinars. If you're interested in some of them or all of them, tune in. Again, on the events page of my website, wayneperry.com, has crystal clear descriptions, titles and descriptions of all 10 webinars. And there's a link there that you can join right above the descriptions and under the little picture there. And that link will take you to Zoom, and you can sign up for one or more or the whole series of 10 webinars. It should also be on this little description on YouTube, on the YouTube link that the video I'm doing. So I support you in resonance, sound, light, and love. Tone daily and look into sound therapy. It will transform your life like it did mine. I'm Wayne Perry. coming at you from the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles. Go to wayneperry.com for more information. For my email and phone information is there on every page of the website. I hope to see you or hear from you soon, particularly in the webinar series that starts tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific time, Saturday, tomorrow, April 18th. And I hope you join us with it. And in closing, I will say to you all, blessings and love you I. And the reason I say love you I instead of I love you is because you can join me in my Love You I brigade, because we put God first. We put service and spirit first. And that's why we say love first, because God is love. And then we put the beloved, you, second. And then we put ourselves last, third. That's the way I think to properly love somebody, is to always put God first. That'll help us avoid codependency in relationships, and always keep our priorities in line by putting spirit or God first, whatever your beliefs are. Doesn't matter what religion or beliefs you follow. Just put spirit first, love first, put the beloved second, and yourself last. And join me as I say, love you I.